A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This prediction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now actually coming to pass. The Krishna consciousness movement is being distributed all over the world through the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And people who were leading confused, chaotic lives are now feeling transcendental happiness. They are finding peace in Sankirtan, and therefore they are acknowledging the supreme benefit of this movement. This is the blessing of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His prediction is now factually being fulfilled, and those who are sober and conscientious are appreciating the value of this movement. Sahakana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Mostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama to be with all of you today. We are reading today from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 9, Text 40. This chapter is entitled The Desire Tree of Devotional Service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here identifying himself as a gardener. The seed of devotional service, your love for Krishna, is his garden. And he is expressing how through this tree the fruits of prema bhakti will ripen. And there is no greater wealth, nothing more valuable than even one fruit. In the whole universal creation, through all the 14 planetary systems, all of the wealth cannot compare to even a fraction of one fruit of Krishna prema, love for Krishna. And anyone who tastes, even for a moment, such a fruit will be ecstatic for the rest of eternity. Anyone who tastes this fruit of love of Krishna will never have to suffer the repetition of birth, old age, disease, and death. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that I have So many fruits, unlimited fruits. How could I alone, just a simple sannyasi gardener, distribute all of them? So he is asking all of his followers to accept the fruit from him, to taste the sweetness of that fruit himself, and to distribute it to others. In fact, in the next verse after this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks that famous sloka, Bharata Bhumi Dehoila Manusya Janma Jara Janma Sarathak Kara Pora Upakar. One who has taken birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsha, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. By his work, thoughts, words, and deeds, an intelligent man must perform actions which will be beneficial for all living entities in this life and the next. I am merely a gardener. I have neither a kingdom nor very great riches. I simply have some fruits and flowers that I wish to utilize to achieve piety in my life. Srila Prabhupada, by the inspiration of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada took this message of Lord Chaitanya as his life and soul. When he first met Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, 1922 in Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada gave him the same instruction as Lord Chaitanya gave all his followers. You are an intelligent young man. Take this message of Lord Chaitanya and in the English language distribute it to the whole world. Srila Prabhupada gave us, all of us, his disciples, grand disciples, great-grand disciples, that same instruction. And as an acharya, he exemplified it so perfectly, in such an exalted way. And here in Delhi is my great happiness to see how His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, one of the most intimate associates of Srila Prabhupada, who gave his life in the very early years of ISKCON, when Srila Prabhupada had hardly anything or anyone to help him. And later, when Srila Prabhupada put his great emphasis on bringing this culture of pure devotional service back to India, Srila Prabhupada would say, no one except himself could actually deal with the challenges of India. So what a special, exalted message it is to the world that he personally called for Gopal Krishna Goswami to come from the West to be the GBC for the whole country. And he took this spirit of distributing the fruits of love of Krishna so seriously. All over the world. But just to focus on Delhi, I can honestly say this was one of the most beautiful temples in the whole creation. And without doubt, all of you are among the most wonderful, wonderful devotees I've ever seen in my life. You can clap for everyone except yourself. The enthusiasm of all of you, the Vaishnava etiquette of how you receive with guests like me, and how you treat each other, and how you're distributing the most books in the history of the world, and how you are distributing the most prasadam in the history of the world, and how you have more temples in this city than anywhere else in the world. Gopal Krishna Maharaj came here. There was just one little tiny temple that was struggling and practically non-existent. And what he has done. It is not only historical, but it is wonderful. And what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking his devotees to do through Srila Prabhupada's grace in the Parampara, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj is doing a service that is so very, very dear to Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, and simply extraordinary. I thank you very much. Because one who without envy, with a sincere and earnest heart, accepts the role of being the servant of the servant of the servant of such a great personality is most dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And for that I thank you. In this section of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it describes that Lord Chaitanya is not only the gardener who is nourishing this tree, but he's also the tree itself. It describes that the seed of the tree was Sri Madhavendra Puri. In the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, he was the first to reveal very clearly the incarnation of Krishna. He is Krishna's true Bhagavan Swayam. He is the original Krishna of Vrindavan, the source of all other incarnations, who has come with the beautiful, supremely beautiful golden complexion of Sri Radharani, and with her Mahabhav, with her love. Who is Lord Chaitanya? Brajendra Nandana Krishna, who has come to taste the sweetness of Radha's love. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shaktirashmat, that originally the absolute truth is one, but that one absolute truth is forever, eternally in two forms. Shri Radha Govinda, for the purpose of loving relationships. The whole purpose of all material and spiritual worlds is the love between Shri Radha Govinda. And all existence is simply to facilitate and give love, facilitate the love between Shri Radha and Krishna. Krishna is perfect and complete, and such an absolute, perfect, eternal existence he has created. But Krishna wanted to taste the sweetness of Radha's love, which he himself was controlled by. I'm the controller of all controllers, yet I'm controlled by Sri Radha's love. I am the supreme source of all ananda, or ecstasy. But I see Radha, in her love for me, as experiencing an ecstasy that even I cannot fathom. So in this way, Krishna appears in the form of Lord Chaitanya, not only to taste the sweetness of Sri Radha's love, but to distribute it. In the age of Kali Yuga, freely, to everyone and anyone, through this most simple and powerful of all processes. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proclaimed the prime benediction for all humanity is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the fruits of those trees is Krishna Prema, the only true satisfaction to the heart and soul of everyone. So Lord Chaitanya was the trunk of the tree. And it describes that the trunk of the tree goes into two forms. And from those forms, limitless branches have grown. And the two sections of the trunk of the tree are Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Acharya. Today is the very holy appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya. So I'd like to speak briefly on the subject. What briefly means, I don't know myself at this time. But it will be brief, considering Anantashesha cannot describe the glories of Anantacharya, of Advaita Acharya, even within the entire span of creation, with his many, many mouths. But Sri Advaita Prabhu, he appeared within this world in the Bangladesh area, in a village close to what is now called Sylhet, used to be called Srihatta. The village was Navagram. His parents were the great Brahmin Vaishnav Kuvera Pandit, and his mother was Nabi Devi. Later, they shifted from Navagram to Shantipur. It is described in the histories of Sri Advaita Prabhu that after his mother and father passed away, they were very old. In their old age, they gave birth to him. He had beautiful lotus-like eyes, and therefore his name was Kamalakshi. And everyone around simply fell in love with this little child. He was born on the 7th day of the waxing moon of the month of Magh, which is today, most auspicious. It is described by Kaviraj Goswami that before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally appeared in this world, he sent his eternal associates and expanded his own self to prepare for his arrival. Advaitacharya appeared in Navagram, Nityananda Prabhu in Ekachakra, Pundarik Vidyanidhi in Chattagaon, Srivas and his brothers near Zilet. At this time, after his parents departed from the world, Sri Advaita Prabhu went to Gaya to perform the last rites for them in a very exemplary way. And he went to Vrindavan. And there, while living in Vrindavan, for those who go there, there is a tree called Advaitavat. And the Murti of Sri Madan Mohan, which was originally installed by Vajranabh, the great-grandson of Krishna, approximately 5,000 years ago, was discovered. And Advaita Prabhu worshipped Madan Gopal, and later gave to a Brahmin, one of his disciples, and later that Murti was given to Sanatana Goswami and installed in the Dwadasa Ditya Til on the bank of the Yamuna. While in Vrindavan, he could understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead would appear in Navadvip. It was in Shantipur that he was living. Lord Chaitanya, he proclaimed that Advaita Prabhu was the Supreme Absolute Truth, Vishnu Tattva, God Himself. But he played the role of the greatest of all devotees. He was the leader of the Vaishnava community. He was the Acharya. He was born in the highest community of Brahmins. And all the Brahmins respected his scholarship, his lifestyle, and his incredible devotion. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught some of the most important lessons through Sri Advaita Prabhu to all of us. So please listen very carefully, because the lessons that Lord Chaitanya taught through Sri Advaitacharya are crucial for our spiritual lives. I'll just speak a few of these lessons. One day, a very exalted personality came to Shantipur, Haridas Thakur. Now, Haridas Thakur was born in a family of untouchables. And in those days, 5 centuries ago, especially the Brahmin community, a large section was very, very much conscious of the caste of people by birth, thinking that they had, by their birthright, the highest position of authority over all others. Thakur Haridas, an untouchable, when he came, after being misunderstood and persecuted, he was born in the Jessore district, Bangladesh. He was living in Benapole when Ramchandra Khan tried to destroy him simply because of his low birth and the popularity he was getting. He came to Chandapur, which was where he met Radhanatha Das Goswami and transformed him. And then he came to Shantipur. Just close by is a place called Fulia. When Sri Adwaita met him, they embraced, they cried in such happiness. Acharya loved him. He saw only one thing: his love, his devotion, his pure heart, and his compassion to all beings. And Adwaita Acharya gave him the most exalted respect of anyone. In those days, for a Brahmin, if an untouchable person would even walk by their house, they would put cow dung in their whole house. That is how ritualistic they were. But Adwaita invited Haridas almost every day to his home to serve him prasad. Adwaita arranged a nice cave for him on the banks of the Ganga in Fuliagram. And during the Shraddha Patra, which was a very exalted festival in those days, Adwaita Acharya would call the whole Brahmin community, the most senior people. And the greatest honor is who he gives the first prasad to after it's offered to Krishna. And right in front of everyone, Adwaita Acharya gave that prasad to Haridas Thakur. It's hard for us to imagine how completely revolutionary, courageous, and bold this statement was. And even Haridas Thakur was so humbled by it. He said, I'm the most fallen person from such a low birth. Why are you giving me so much kindness? You're inviting me to your house. Nobody else will invite me to their house. And right in front of the whole Brahmin community and the annual festival of your Shraddha, you're giving me the highest honors in front of everyone, not secretly. And Adwaita Acharya, he spoke and everyone could hear. He said, because of your love for Krishna, when I feed you, I am feeding 10 million first-class Brahmins. He crashed through all the sectarian boundaries that were so much inhibiting the flow of prema bhakti to inundate the people of India and the world. When Adwaita Prabhu saw the condition of society, he felt such deep compassion. The tattva of Adwaita is described by Kaviraj Goswami, Vrindavan Das Thakur, and other great acharyas. He is Krishna himself. Especially a incarnation of Mahavishnu, the Karanadakshayi Vishnu. We know that Mahavishnu is the first Purusha within creation. He's so great, that when he exhales, all the universes come from his pores. And when he inhales, everything comes back inside. That is God. Now, all of you in the audience today, how many times have you inhaled and exhaled since this lecture started? And my question is, what happened? That is the difference between the Jiva and the Paramatma. When Mahavishnu exhales, the whole cosmic manifestation manifests. When he inhales, it all goes inside and becomes unmanifest. By his glance, he impregnates the whole material energy with jivas, with limitless living entities. Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells that when Mahavishnu is manifesting the universe, he's in this form of Vishnu. And for the unmanifested material universe, he is manifested as Shiva, Sadashiva, the original Shiva, Vishnu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and our great acharyas proclaimed that Advaita Acharya is the manifestation of both Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, the greatest of all devotees. But in the role of a Vaishnava, he could see not only what was happening in Shantipur and Navadvip, but he could see the whole world. And he could see into the future of what would happen in Kali Yuga to human society. And his heart cried with compassion. Advaita Acharya had a house just close to Srivas Thakur's house in Navadvip, as well as Shantipur. And he saw how Navadvip was the high seat of learning for the whole of India. And there was so much scholarship of Sanskrit and Nyaya and all of these different systems of philosophy, but there was practically no emphasis on true devotion. Haridas Thakur and Sri Advaita Prabhu, both of them felt such deep compassion for everyone. They both decided that only Krishna himself, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead from Goloka, could bring the highest revelations of love of God to the people in this condition of Kali Yuga. So Thakur Haridas in his cave, he was constantly chanting a minimum of 300,000 names, 3 lakhs of Krishna, every single day, with the focus on attracting Krishna to descend to the world. And Sri Advaita Prabhu, his heart was crying so much for us. And this is, if we want to truly make spiritual progress, we have to understand it like this. Because we have a personal philosophy. Advaita Acharya was seeing the soul of every living being within Brahma's creation, especially in this planet of Earth. And he was crying for us. whether we're rich or poor, whether we have PhDs or we're illiterate, whether we're from one religion or another, or whether from one race or another, or caste, we are all subjected to birth, old age, disease, and death. And the potential of our ability to love Krishna and feel the happiness of Krishna, which he was tasting, has been forgotten. Advaitacharya made a vow. I will bring Krishna of Goloka to this world. Not for himself, but for us. And it's very important for us to understand he was praying and crying in ecstatic love for each and every one of us individually. We shouldn't just think everyone, because that's not the way God is. Bhagavan, even when he reaches out to everyone, he's intimately thinking of you. That is the truth. And that is the gratitude that we should awaken. He performed great tapasya. For a long time, he was fasting for you and me. On the banks of the Ganga, he was performing his puja. He so much wanted Krishna to come. And he was reading from the Shastras, I believe it was the Gautamiya Tantra, that if someone offers the water of the Ganges and Tulsi Manjari to Lord Krishna and cries out his name with great devotion, then Krishna will fulfill that person's desire. Advaitacharya, he would offer Ganga water, Tulsi Manjaris, and cry. Chaitanya Charitamrita says he roared. He was roaring from the core of his heart Krishna's holy names, begging Krishna to come to the world to bestow compassion upon the people. There was a small community of Vaishnavas, Srivas Thakur and his brothers, Sri Ram, Sri Pati, Sri Nidhi. They were doing kirtan in their house. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, they were performing kirtan together. But there was no other kirtan anywhere. He was offering his puja and crying out, Krishna, please come and spread the Sankirtan movement. Only you could do it. His heartfelt, loving prayers for us filled the entire universe. For the pleasure of Sri Advaita Prabhu, decided to descend into this world as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Srila Prabhupada was on Jaladuta, he was offering a similar prayer. He wrote that Krishna, how could I deliver these people? They are so much immersed under the influence of passion and ignorance. How will they understand your teachings? How will their lives be transformed? I cannot do it. Krishna, only if you do it, only if you speak through me, will they be delivered. Srila Prabhupada so much perfectly captured the spirit of compassion of Sri Advaita Prabhu. So Advaita Prabhu was fasting for us. He was performing his puja, Ganga, Tulsi, and loudly chanting his prayerful names of God. And on the Purnima of the month of Phalgun, Lord Chaitanya, in answer to Advaita's prayers, appeared in Sri Mayapur Dham as the son of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi. And at that time, Haridas Thakur and Sri Advaita Prabhu were so happy because they felt such joy in their hearts. In ecstasy, they danced together to celebrate. Very interesting. The Lord's appearance was invoked by the loving relationship between the highest Brahman and an untouchable, who shared compassion for all beings as they chanted together the holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Advaita sent his wife Sita Thakurani to go to honor and respect the child of Mother Sachi. And when she saw little Nimai, she was thinking, this is my Krishna of Gokul who has appeared in a golden complexion. There are many stories about the loving relationship between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Advaita Prabhu. A few that are very important for us. Advaita Prabhu was watching little Nimai grow up, and he became the great Pandit, who was so much immersed in scholarship in a way that no one could compare to him. He even defeated Keshav Kashmiri, who was the Digvijay Pandit, the world champion debater, effortlessly. When Nimai was just a little boy, Advaita would meet at his house in Navadvip with all the other Vaishnavas. It was just a handful. And they would discuss Krishna's pastimes and have kirtan. And he would worship his deity. And one person that would come was Lord Chaitanya's elder brother, Vishwarup. Vishwarup was an expansion of Nityananda Balaram. While Advaita Prabhu would be performing his puja to Krishna, Vishwarup would speak about how the essence of all the scriptures is pure devotional service, bhakti. Even though he was just a boy, Advaitacharya felt so much deep love and affection for Vishwarup. The whole Vaishnava community at the time, their hearts were so much captured by this boy. And one day, Sachi Mata had completed her preparation of lunch, and she told little Nimai, who was just a small boy, very small boy, said, go get your brother Vishwarup. He's at Advaita Prabhu's house. So little Nimai came running. His body was covered with dust from playing. And when he came to the door, Advaita saw him. And he, by their own Leela, he couldn't recognize that this was Krishna. the Lord's Yogamaya potency covered Advaita over, so he didn't understand that the person that he was praying for was standing right in front of him. But when he saw Nimai's beautiful little form, his heart just exploded in ecstasy. He couldn't even blink his eyes. He was just gazing at him. And all the other devotees were gazing at him. In fact, they were all chanting the holy names. And when Nimai came, they couldn't even chant anymore. All they could do was look at him. And as they were looking, little Nimai smiled. And he said to Vishwarup, "Our mother is calling. You must come home and take prasad." And then he pulled Vishwarup's dhoti and pulled him out and ran away. And after they left, the Vaishnavas just kept standing. They couldn't say anything. And finally they were speaking among each other. "Who is that little boy? What has he done to us?" As he grew up and became Nimai Pandit, the great scholar, all the devotees were thinking, "We love him so much, but because he doesn't talk about Krishna, we can't be with him and we can't be without him." And they were praying, if only Nimai becomes a devotee, then he will make the whole world Krishna conscious. And they were performing their kirtan and performing their puja and offering prayers to Krishna. "Please make Nimai a devotee. Then we will never give up his association." And sometimes Nimai, when his elders would, because he would challenge them in so many ways with his incredible scholarship. One time Srivas said to Nimai, "Why are you wasting your life with mundane scholarship? You should worship Krishna." And Nimai smiled. He said, "Because you, a great Vaishnava, is praying for me, someday I will be the greatest devotee of Krishna." And then he took the dust of Srivas's feet and smiled and ran away. So when Nimai, he was married to Lakshmi Devi, and then later to Vishnu Priya. He went to Gaya for his father's Shraddha, and there he met Ishwara Puri. And after taking initiation from the great Ishwara Puri, a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, he for the first time manifested the ecstasies of Sri Radha's love for Krishna, for the devotees to see. And Nimai came back to Navadvip, and all he could do was speak about Krishna and induce others to chant the names of Krishna. Advaita was so happy when he heard this news. And soon Advaita became the constant associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu came, Pundarik Vidyanidhi came, and all the devotees from all different places were coming to Navadvip to be with the Lord. During the first meeting of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya told, tomorrow we should have Vyas Puja at the house of Srivas. And after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed the truth about who he was to the devotees and who Lord Nityananda Prabhu was, he proclaimed that Advaita, who he would call Nara, he said, "It is because of you that I descended into this world." Because Advaita, years before, I'm going a little back and forth, when Advaita was living in Shantipur, Madhavendra Puri, we all know his story. Gopal appeared to him, or Srinathji, at Sri Govardhan Hill. And Gopal told Madhavendra Puri to bring sandalwood from the Malayan hills to relieve him of his heat. On his way, he came to the house of Advaita Prabhu. When Sri Advaitacharya and Madhavendra Puri met, what a celebration that was. At a time when there was so little devotion anywhere in the whole world, when two great devotees meet, it's the greatest festival of happiness. They embraced, they cried on each other. And Advaitacharya, wanting, even though he is Vishnu himself, wanted to show the world by his example how to become Krishna conscious. He asked Madhavendra Puri to give him initiation. And it was at that time Madhavendra Puri accepted him as his disciple and gave him the mantra. Ishwara Puri and Advaita were god brothers. And Lord Chaitanya, who was in the role of a devotee, was teaching how to become a devotee. Srila Prabhupada explains, who knows better how to please Krishna than Krishna? And even more than that, who knows how to please Krishna better than Sri Radharani? And Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood of Radha, personally teaching by his example how we can please Krishna. And he accepted Ishwara Puri as his guru. And therefore, after he manifested his Sankirtan pastimes, he always offered the highest respect to Sri Advaita Prabhu, because he was his guru's god brother. Now, Advaitacharya was very disturbed by this, because he didn't want to be his guru's god brother. He wanted to be the servant of his servants. He saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his beloved Lord, Radharani, and Krishna. He didn't want Krishna to serve him. But Lord Chaitanya, whenever he would see Advaita, he not only would serve him, but he would take dust from Advaita's feet and put it on his head. And this was really, really upsetting Advaitacharya. Many stories in this regard, where sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, Advaitacharya would try to stop Vishwambara, Gauranga, from taking dust from his feet. But how to stop Vishwambara? He would try, but Lord Chaitanya had arms that extended below his knees. So with these long arms, it was impossible to stop him. So they would almost like have little, very, not fights, but they would try, Advaita would try to get Nimai's dust, and Nimai would try to get Advaita's dust, and Advaita could never get Nimai's dust, and Nimai always got Advaita's dust. So the only time Advaita would get Nimai's dust. There's one beautiful story, I'm not going to tell it though. But Lord Chaitanya went into ecstasy and fell unconscious. And then Advaita ran and covered his entire body with the dust of Nimai's lotus feet. And then they started kirtan. And Nimai stopped the kirtan. He said, I'm not feeling ecstasy today. Someone must have taken dust from my feet. Who has done this? Now Advaitacharya was the king of the Vaishnavas. He was the leader. And Lord Chaitanya looked at Srivas. Has anyone taken dust from my feet? And you can't lie to the absolute truth. So seeing that dilemma, Advaitacharya very blissfully, he said, because you are a thief stealing from me, today I have stolen from the thief. And Lord Chaitanya, all of a sudden, he just ran outside. Nobody ever saw him in this mood. And he ran to the Ganga, and he jumped in. They didn't know what was happening. Is he ending his life? And Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur ran after him and dove in the Ganga and pulled him out. And Lord Chaitanya said to him, why did you rescue me? He said, I have no love for Krishna. Why should I live? If I had a single drop of love for Krishna in my heart, I could not live in separation from him. But just that I am living and I am breathing means I have not even a drop of love for Krishna in my heart. And Nityananda said, please, Advaita was just trying to please you. Don't be so angry. And he said, I am going to Nandanacharya's house, and if anybody tells anybody who I am, to see what I will do. And he was hiding in Nandanacharya's house. Lord Chaitanya would like to hide in Nandanacharya's house. In fact, so many devotees would like to hide there. It was the hiding place of Navadvip. And it's incredible, even though everyone kind of knew it was the hiding place in Navadvip, whenever someone would hide there, nobody knew they were hiding. So when Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas couldn't say anything, they came back and everyone was saying, where is Lord Chaitanya? And they said, we don't know. And Advaita Prabhu was feeling so sad because of me. He's left the world. And practically a whole day went by. Then Lord Chaitanya told Nityananda Prabhu, bring Srivas. And Srivas came. And Srivas was so happy. And Lord Chaitanya said, how is Advaita? And Srivas said, because he felt he offended you by taking dust from your feet, and he literally covered his whole body with that dust. He was just really taking a lot. And then he said those things to you afterward, those joking remarks. He said he feels he's offended you so much that you may have left the world because of him. And now he can't eat, he can't sleep, he's just crying, laying on the floor. And then Lord Chaitanya went to visit Advaita Prabhu. And told Advaita Prabhu that when I want to show my greatest love for my devotee, I punish him when he does something not so right.
He said, it's not that you did anything wrong, but because you said and did those things, I punished you just to show my love for you. And immediately Advaita started dancing in happiness and had Sita Thakurani make a feast for him. But this situation kept happening. Lord Chaitanya was always offering respect and serving Advaita Prabhu, and never allowing Advaita to do service for him. And Advaita Prabhu, knowing the Lord's ultimate plan, he wanted to teach such a good lesson. He was thinking, if Lord Chaitanya punishes me, then that means he's accepting me as his servant. But now, all he does is accept himself as my servant. But he came to the world. I called him to the world to teach pure devotional service, prem bhakti, to the personality of Godhead. I will preach with great enthusiasm the doctrine of impersonalism. That ultimately God is not personal, that God is impersonal. And ultimately bhakti is just a little branch from the great tree of monism. And let us see what he does to me then. So he became very, very ecstatic with this thought, because he knew what would happen. So he left Navadvip and went back to his house in Shantipur and started holding classes where he was giving an interpretation on the Yoga Vashishta, teaching the monistic perception of God. And Lord Chaitanya heard about this. He's the Paramatma in everyone's heart. He doesn't have to hear about it, but he heard about it. And he said to Nityan, he was thinking, what is this? First he brings me to the world, and now he's contradicting everything I came for. And he told Nityananda Prabhu, let us go to Shantipur. And Sri Gauranga and Sri Nityananda, they were walking along the bank of the Ganga from Navadvip to Shantipur. On the way, they stopped at the house of this one very unusual sannyasi. From there, they jumped in the river Ganga and swam to Shantipur. And they came out right at Advaita's house. And when Advaita was just giving a class when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. And as soon as he saw Lord Chaitanya coming, boldly preaching impersonalism. Vrindavan Das Thakur cites some of the things he was saying that day. He was saying things like, impersonalism is the foundational root of all knowledge and realization. And devotion is just a branch that is dependent on that main trunk. Then he said that devotional service, bhakti, is like a mirror. But monistic, impersonal philosophy is like the eyes that see into the mirror. A mirror has no value without eyes looking into it. He was speaking really strongly like this. So loud that Lord Chaitanya could hear him. And Lord Chaitanya was becoming really transcendently angry. And Lord Chaitanya approached the class. There were so many students there. He was a very popular teacher. And they all saw Lord Chaitanya. His eyes were becoming very red. And Sita Thakurani saw Lord Chaitanya coming, and she was worried, what's happening? And Haridas Thakur was, the whole time Advaitacharya was speaking in Mayavad, impersonalism, Haridas would just laugh. Because he knew Advaitacharya's plan. And when Nityananda saw it that day, he just left. But Lord Chaitanya was not laughing. Lord Chaitanya, with a roaring voice, he called out to Advaita for everyone to hear. Of impersonalism or devotional service, which is higher? He directly asked this question. And Advaitacharya, sitting on his raised seat, his Vyasasan, he boldly roared, of the two, devotional service and impersonal is always higher. Lord Chaitanya went right up to that raised platform. He grabbed Advaita by the hair, put him on the ground, and with his fist hit him. No, we cannot imitate these things. And he started beating Advaita. And Sita Thakurani Advaita's wife, was so much disturbed. She was screaming out. She said, Nimai, Nimai, please, please don't. He's an old man. He's so old. What will you accomplish by punishing him? And Lord Chaitanya was, with a very, very serious voice, as he was hitting Advaita, he said, you called me from the spiritual world to come to this world to teach devotional service. I was peacefully sleeping in the ocean of milk. And through your loud cries, you woke me up. And you cried for me to come to teach pure bhakti in this world. And now that I'm here on your order, on your prayer, now you are preaching to completely cover the glories of real bhakti. How can I tolerate this? And then Sita was saying, stop, stop, he's old, he can't defend, please don't punish him. And Lord Nityananda was smiling, and Haridas was, he was just watching. And all the students, they didn't know what to think. And Advaita, after Lord Chaitanya punished him, he was sitting, and he was sitting in the room, and Advaitacharya began to dance, crying in happiness, smiling. And he said, my beloved Lord, where is all of your respect and veneration for me today? Today you have accepted me as your servant by punishing me. All of my desires are fulfilled. Advaita was just uncontrollably dancing in happiness. Lord Chaitanya seeing this, he became embarrassed. And Lord Chaitanya said to Advaita, you are my greatest devotee. Unless one has devotion for you, no one can have devotion, real devotion for me. And then Advaitacharya told Sita Devi, Sita Thakurani, please prepare a feast. And she made wonderful prasad, and Sri Advaita Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all ate prasad together and had wonderful joking and happiness. Through this wonderful pastime, Lord Chaitanya taught the importance of very clearly understanding that the true principles of bhakti are built on the foundational faith that God is ultimately a person, the supreme personality of Godhead. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. That Krishna's body is eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss. He's that form of Krishna, the person, Bhagavan, is the source of everything that exists. Brahmete Paramatmete Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. The Lord is eternally in these three features as the all-pervading Brahman, which is like the rays of the sun, spreading everywhere. Paramatma, the Lord who is seated personally in the heart of every living being, just like the sun planet. And Bhagavan, like Surya, the Lord of the sun, who is the supreme person. And all these three aspects of God are existing eternally. But the highest revelation, the true nature of the soul, Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas, is to serve Krishna with love. That is the basis of bhakti. And love is reciprocal. Krishna's personal love for each of us is infinite. To feel his love as the personality of Godhead is the highest experience of the soul, and it is our eternal nature. And to love Krishna, samsiddhir haritoshanam, whatever we do to please Krishna is Sanatana Dharma. It is our eternal nature. So in a world that is so much plagued with confusion and philosophical diversions, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came to give the highest emphasis on Krishna's personality. Bhagavan, he's Rasa Bihari. He's the connoisseur and the supreme lover and beloved. Higher aspiration that any of us should have than being the servant of the servant of the servant. So many of us want to be respected. Here is Vishnu himself. He can't tolerate being respected. He just wants to offer service. But in order to chant the holy names, to develop this love, we must be very, very careful not to commit aparadhs. And in the next story I'm about to tell, Lord Chaitanya gave this lesson very, very clearly. It was in Navadvip. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was showing his divine opulences as Krishna to his devotees. And he was giving the highest ecstasies of love of God to all his devotees. And in the middle of this wonderful darshan, Srivas said, "Your mother Sachi, why are you not calling her? Please give her pure devotional service." And Lord Chaitanya became angry. Sitting on Vishnu's throne, he said, "I will not give Sachi pure devotional service." the devotee Srivas said, well, what are you saying? You know, she's your mother. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She kept you in her womb. She's the very personification of all love and all devotion. What are you speaking? And Lord Chaitanya very gravely replied, she offended a Vaishnav. Therefore, I cannot give her pure devotional service. Which Vaishnav she never offends anyone. She offended Advaita. Unless she takes the dust of the feet of Advaita Acharya and becomes his servant in this way, I will not give her pure devotional service. So when that information came to Sachi Devi, she took it so seriously. Vrindavan Das Thakur tells the story of how this actually happened. May I tell you? Lord Chaitanya's elder brother Vishwarup, who was Balaram, he completely captured his parents' hearts. But every day he was going to Sri Advaita Acharya's house in Navadvip and studying the scriptures from a bhakti perspective. And because of the association of Advaita, Sachi Devi was thinking, he's losing all interest in material life. So her and Jagannath Mishra arranged for his marriage. But Vishwarup had no concern for anything of this material world. And his heart was crying to see people trying to enjoy material life without Krishna. So one night, without saying anything to anyone, Vishwarup left home and took sannyas. He was only a teenager. His name became Shankararanya. When he left and the word came that he became a sannyasi, and he never ever returned home after that. Sachi and Jagannath Mishra were in so much separation. And so was Advaita and all the devotees, because they lost his most wonderful company. The only thing that kept Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi alive was Nimai. He said, I will be with you. Even Nimai was crying like anything when Vishwarup left. But to pacify his parents, he said, I will be with you to serve you. Soon after that, Jagannath Mishra passed from this world, chanting the holy names of Krishna. And Sachi Devi, her whole life was only one thing, her loving motherly service to Nimai. She had nothing else. But after Lord Chaitanya came back from Gaya, and he was married to Lakshmi Devi, Vishnupriya, Lord Chaitanya would spend most of his time with Advaita and Srivas and the devotees. And he was not home so much. And Sachi Devi as a mother became very worried that this Advaita Prabhu, he took away one of my sons, and now he's taking away another one of my sons, my only one left. And she was so disturbed because Lord Chaitanya was so immersed in just kirtan and harikatha with the devotees. He had no other interest. She was thinking, Advaita's taking away my only reason to live. And she was expressing, I'm just a poor widow. I have no husband. My eldest son left me forever. I have very little property. All I have to live for is my Nimai. And now this Advaita is influencing my son to lose all interest in this world and leave me. She didn't say it maliciously. She wasn't criticizing. She was just overwhelmed in her motherly emotions, fearing that Nimai would leave. And she was thinking and saying that people call him Advaita, which means not dual.